Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting our YouTube channel and everything else we do at Dirty Mo Media. This is the Ask Junior part of the show brought to you by Xfinity. They've been a great partner of ours for years. You guys sent your questions in to Xfinity Racing at Twitter, and Hannah's going to go through them. Let's get started.
All right, the first one here is from Ryan Goodrum, and we're going to go ahead and jump into a pretty, I wouldn't say controversial, but a pretty interesting one. He says, Ask Junior, Ryan Ellis tweeted a few days ago about someone trying to steal his sponsor. Are there any unwritten rules about this sort of thing? And if so, how do you handle that?
No, there aren't any rules. Unfortunately, there's sponsors are so hard to come by. It really comes down to whether if you have if your buddy has a sponsor and that sponsor is something that you could attain. Well, it depends on how, whether you can live with the fact that you have taken that sponsor and that opportunity away from your friend. Now, maybe if it's a car on the other side of the garage, you don't know that owner, you don't know that team, but that sponsor comes to you and says, we like your operation, we want to talk to you about becoming a part of your program, we see what you're doing, we like the driver or whatever the reason is, absolutely you got to entertain it. And if you can make it work, you make it work. This happens more times than not in the garage. A lot of teams and sponsors have moved from car to car throughout the years. And a lot of times there's more to it than, man, this guy stole my sponsor. A lot of times that sponsor might be reaching out, or that guy might see something in that sponsor that he could deliver value to them. Maybe there's a match between the driver and the actual service that the sponsor provides. All those things play a role. So, I know when we lose a sponsor or anything, if somebody hires away a mechanic, a crew chief, if we lose a driver, I want our guys to graduate to the cup level, but when we lose somebody to a different organization in the same series, I get angry. You get a chip on your shoulder. Even though it might make sense, even though it's something that they wanted or that person wanted, it's hard not to be annoyed and competitive about it, because in your mind you believe that you provide the best working environment, the best opportunity for these people to succeed, the best opportunity for the drivers, the best fit for the sponsors, the best marketing for the sponsors, the best impact. You think that your business and you can do that better than anyone, and for when to be rejected or somebody takes something from you in your mind, it's hard to deal with. But there aren't any there's no code when it comes to sponsors. Sometimes sometimes with sponsors, but a lot of times with people, crew chiefs and tire changers, if they leave, they can't. They might sign an agreement, that they can't work for X competitor or a different. There'll be some contingencies.
Yeah, non-compete.
Right, non-compete. That's what they call it. And so where they have to sit on the sideline for a little while. But, you've kind of been in on the middle of some of these sponsor deals.
I think you just nailed it on the head there, that you take it personal. It almost feels like you're getting dumped, like when you're dating. Like, there may be other reasons, and you know what? That girl actually might like somebody else better than she liked you, but it's just hard to ration. And that's why I understood Ryan Ellis's perspective and vantage point. However, I would also say you're right. There are no rules, and also usually when it feels like somebody's stealing a sponsor, it's not actually stealing a sponsor. I mean, like you said, sometimes there's legitimate reasons and business reasons and money. It all goes into it, but it's not a steal. It just feels like a steal because nobody likes getting rejected.
Well, I'm friends with Ryan, and I don't know who it is, and I won't say, and he won't say, because he's respectful of it. But he has warned this particular person to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know that situation at all, but it doesn't feel any better. I'm just saying that. At the end of the day, people can poach sponsors or they can go approach other sponsors all they want. If you offer a better opportunity in the competitive market,
yeah,
you need to stand on that. give them make them regret if they leave you. You know, give a better return of value. That's what you just have to strive to do, and then let the chips fall as they may, I guess. I mean, you know, I hate it for Ryan, though.
Yeah. What Ryan did as far as warning that guy happens as well. Even at the very top, between some of the biggest owners and names in the sport, if an owner is in a difficult position or a vulnerable position, he might reach out to the other guys and say, "Hey, look, give me a minute here. Don't come in here and tear this apart. Let me, you know, this is important that we maintain this relationship." So they will communicate back and forth. Hey, I really like this guy. Don't take him. Maybe an owner or a team has reached out to a crew chief or a management position type person, and that person goes to that owner and says, "Hey, they reached out to me. They offered me this job. What I really want to take it." They might call Hendrick or Gibbs might call a Penske or somebody and say, "Hey, we want to keep this guy, y'all. We'd really love to keep this guy, and so we don't want to let him leave, and let's work this out." So there are some of those conversations I think happen behind the scenes sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
On the next one here, on the trend of talking about Atlanta and such, Jan asks, do you have a favorite Braves player, past or present?
Oh, man. My dad and Jody Davis, Jody was a catcher, and they were hunting buddies, and so I kind of Jeff Blauser and Dad knew each other a little bit. Dave Justice was kind of cool. There were all the names from the '90s from those teams. I was a fan of pretty much all those guys at that point, and but I would have to say, Justice was probably the big name back then. I mean, throw out some names.
I was a big Mark Lemke fan because he was like one of those utility players, always dirty, and if you're a Braves fan and you don't love the moment where Sid Bream comes, hobbling around third base in the National League Championship Series for that heroic slide into home plate against the Pirates.
I interviewed him about that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did an interview with him back when I was a sports writer. Listen, if we're going to have this conversation, I don't even know why they're asking about the Braves. Are you a Braves fan or something? I didn't know that. But
I was, so when the dad was a Braves fan, so I was a big Braves fan. And so when they had that great run in the 90s, Smoltz and all those guys, Maddox, Tom Glavine, I was watching all those seasons, especially postseason, right? You tune in the postseason and try to figure out what was going on. But
well, if we're going to have the conversation,
Chipper was definitely a big deal.
Big deal.
We had him on the show, so I've got some baseball cards of his.
We can't have the conversation though without somebody going on the record and saying Dale Murphy and then Rick Camp.
Bob Horner from that era.
Rick Camp was the relief pitcher that came up and hit a home run.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
YouTube it. It's great.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not a massive Braves fan, but
there you go.
There you go.
Next one here comes from Alan Bedgood. He says, what was your least favorite part of being a driver, and what's your least favorite part of being a broadcaster?
My least favorite part of being a driver was being away from home, traveling. I like to be at home and would have projects and hobbies and stuff, and having to plug in, unplug was tough. My favorite part about being a broadcaster? Least favorite part about being a broadcaster is probably the nerves and anxiety. So, I work hard not to let this happen, but I could see this easily happening. I'll be so nervous about doing play-by-play this weekend in New Hampshire that I'll be a miserable SOB all week. And so Amy will be like, "Hey, what's wrong?" I'll be like, "Nothing." She'll look at me, I'll be like, "Okay, I'm just nervous." "You're going to be fine." "I know, but I'm nervous. I can't stop being nervous, all right?"
That's exactly how that's going to go.
And then she'll it'll be affecting her week, and I'll feel terrible about that because I'll be just so I'll be so blah.
When will that kick in? Wednesday, Thursday, something like that? Or
I don't know. Hopefully, I'm trying to not let it kick in.
good,
Right?
I love it. He's 100% right. That's exactly those weeks. It's a week-long process there.
For the 6 hours when we had it, I had an hour stint where I was by myself, and I was so nervous leading up to it because I had to cover the whole pit road. Dylan's like, "Are you okay? You're being distant." And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm just so nervous about this hour that I have to do that you almost get sick.
Yes.
And you just want to like hole yourself up because
Right.
you're so nervous.
Yeah. So that's what I'll do this week, and that's probably that's the worst. That is probably the most least fun part about the whole thing.
Just being nervous. Yeah.
I know I need to push myself to go into these spaces. Look, Rick Allen is insanely good at his job, and he belongs in that position 1,000%. But if given the opportunity, I'm trying to push myself into that role in those rare moments, even though I know how good he is and how hard this job is to do. I got to do it. And even though I don't enjoy the how anxious I get and I don't enjoy the discomfort, for some reason I think I'll regret it if I said, "Look, I don't want to do the play-by-play ever. Just put me in there as an analyst and I'm just going to do that." I probably would regret that. I didn't try it more because it is exhilarating. Like you get in there once the race begins and you're on the broadcast and you've gotten past the on camera, you're good. You're going to make mistakes. You just got to laugh it off. You got to tell people, "Hey, man, I know you're, as a viewer, you got a third-rate play-by-play guy here. You don't have the top guy, the A guy in there right now. I understand that you don't have that, and I'm just trying to make my way." But it's fun as hell. It's kind of like anything else. You get asked to introduce Linkin Park at the MTV Music Awards. Sounds like a great idea. Yes, I'll do it. And then from that moment till it happens, you want to throw up.
Yeah.
And this is weeks.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
This is weeks leading up to it. You're like, "Why did I do this? Why did I agree to do this?"
And then
And
you
then
take
you
out
go-
everybody that's around you too.
And then you go do it, and after you're done, you're fist pump in the air like, "Freaking! Hey, did you see that? Yes, that was amazing. So fun." It's the weirdest ever. I don't know why we're like that, or I'm like that, but yeah.
All right, here's the last one for this week's Ask Junior. Comes from James Maples. It says, "A few weeks ago, you said the Xfinity series potentially lacked some identity. Would you consider putting V6s back in the Xfinity cars to gain some identity? If not, what changes would you make to achieve that?"
Yeah, I don't know. I think that that's not it's silly sounding, but this is actually right on the money. I don't know if it's 6 cylinders are the answer, but the Xfinity series, the Truck series, and the Cup series have to matter to the manufacturer. The Truck series matters to the manufacturer because they're trucks, right?
They sell
Manufacturers,
trucks.
Yeah.
They sell trucks.
The Cup series matters because that's the elite top series, and they sell sedans, right? So the Xfinity series has kind of lost its purpose. What is its purpose to the manufacturer? The pony car thing was cool for a while, but it's the manufacturers obviously aren't married to selling pony cars every year, right? And it doesn't. They can sell them regardless. The Camaro or the Mustang or whatever. I don't think that the Xfinity series is having a huge impact on automotive sales in that market. There needs to be a bigger purpose for the manufacturers, or some specific, a specific purpose for the manufacturers to want that Xfinity series to be there. Whether it's a type of engine, like this fella mentioned, could be that the electric car. None of us love the idea of an electric series in stock car racing. I don't think any of us really love it.
No.
Right? Do you love it, Mike?
No, absolutely not.
All right. So even though we don't love it, hey, we didn't love the number change. It happened. Even though we might not still love it, it's here. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I don't like. The number move. Didn't like it then. Don't like it now. But I'm okay.
Yeah.
You hear me?
It ain't gonna stop you from watching.
Outside of this moment, you hear me complaining about it? So
Yeah, but at least a V6 would make noise.
all right, whatever. They would make noise. But that doesn't. I mean, let's get back to the point, Matthew. And if you're a manufacturer and you build, Matthew Motors, and you're selling cars and trucks, you're pretty good because you got the Truck Series and you got the Cup Series. But the Xfinity Series doesn't really matter to you because what does it do for you, right? Let's find out what that series can do for Matthew Motors. Okay? If Matthew Motors needs to sell freaking 6-cylinder cars, then maybe that's what the Xfinity Series should be. Maybe it's 4 cylinders. I don't know, right? Whatever it needs to be. SUVs. I've heard NASCAR throw that idea around.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
with car seats.
No kidding, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
The entertainment center in the back seat
Right.
for kids. Yeah.
I will not have a shop full of SUV race cars. I will not.
Oh man. All right. Well, that is it for this week's Ask Junior.
Well, those are some great questions. I'll be honest with you, man. Those were fun, and we had some good laughs. Don't take everything we say to heart.